so long. Do you have any tips and tricks for what's the loudest outdoor stadium?
I would say this. I think there was a time. Let me back up. I think offenses have adjusted and they're further along now than maybe 20 years ago, where there was a time where they called a penalty on the home crowd because they were too loud. And so the silent snap count, the shotgun, there's a number of reasons for that. And yet still, I didn't see any of last night's game, but the tackles begin to get a little deeper, especially in a loud venue. So there are all those elements. The first offensive advantage in the game is, when the start is, the snap count. So when that gets dissipated a little bit, neutralized, then you have those things that you have to prepare for. I think there's probably 4 or 5 venues that are, noticeably different, and then the other ones, maybe not as much. This certainly is one of them.
You've talked about the need to get off to a fast start. Maybe what are some of the things you've told the team and some of the figures and that you show them of playoff
It's
teams
not
and all that?
well at the start of camp. I just gave them a 5-week report card, and it started with the postseason on down and where these playoff teams were after 5 weeks, and so I think there was maybe one that was 2 and 3, but and so it's not any one game specific. It's just obviously, look, it happened twice to me in New Orleans. When you start off, for instance, 0-4, you're burning a lot of energy just to get back to, and so your margin for error changes. And the same thing happened a year ago with us. So, winning, those close games early, obviously is more important.
Obviously, good problem to have, but with where you're at health-wise, does that make setting your game day roster, who's up and who's down, more difficult?
That's a good question. I don't think so. There's certain questions relative to, how many snaps we want to give the safety since he hadn't played in the preseason. There are those type of things, but fortunately we're in a good position health-wise, and we want to carry that over into the season. And but relative to, has it made it more difficult? Or I don't know that it's changed kind of our vision for this week's, because that can change week to week based on your opponent. If you're going to be in more nickel, or if you're going to be, depending on your sets offensively. So we feel like we've got a pretty good handle on our game day.
Coach, piece with Jeff Duncan, obviously Jeff. You mentioned there, I've researched as well, you've never won fewer than 7 games, and you like being on the underdog. Why do you like that?
Well, look, I've done it long enough to where I can recall 2013. I don't know that we were either an underdog or a favorite, but we ended up having a pretty good team, went to the divisional round. And then 14, we were, certainly a lot of people's picks to get, deep into the playoff Super Bowl, and we weren't close to that. And so during that time frame, you find yourself on all 4 ends of the spectrum. The perfect scenario is to be the underdog with the better team. You can be the favorite with the better team. You could be the favorite, maybe not necessarily with a good team. So, I think there's a bit of pride in all of us that in what we do and in competitive nature. Does winning feel greater than losing feels terrible? And And it's I think a really good motivating factor, and not just in sport, but with all of us, is fear of failure. You know, that's pretty powerful. And, you know, so yeah, I think, and I don't want to use the word I think we like a challenge, you know, and that's a challenge.
Last year you were miserable a couple of times after wins, driving around parking lots circling. Do you think you're going to enjoy it more this year with this group?
Depends on the win.
In observing methodologies for quarterback development around the league, how do you feel like what you guys are doing with Bo will help you avoid some of the pitfalls?
Well, it's a great question. Just, you know, walking off the field, even with Davis and Joe, and you know, as this week moves towards the game, and you know, we get to Saturday night, even tomorrow, and you know, it's important that, especially early in the season, you know, what are the things that he's really comfortable. You know, if I say to the players, man, we need to play fast, well, then we as coaches need to give them the menu that allows that. You know, and so too much can cause just some hesitation relative to what exactly we're doing. Oh, I got it. But if they're, you know, and so I think there's that balance, and throughout the week, last night, the night before, of how much with a younger quarterback, and so. You know, I get back to the two real good allies, though, are good defense and good running game. You know, when those two are struggling, then, you know, a lot more is put on that player.
Is it hard then, very difficult to balance playing fast but not in a hurry?
Yeah, when I say play fast, it's when the ball's snapped, and you can play fast when you know exactly, you know, we've all gone into a test in college and having prepared very well for it, and then I know at least I have gone in the latter, and so I'm not, you know, and so playing fast is because, man, I know my assignment, and I've done it a number of times. A new assignment, you know, how much work have I had on it? If I've had enough, then hey, so it's that we exercise every night. You know, is this too much? Let's trim the fat, and you know, as late as tomorrow night, I'm sure there'll be a couple things that we'll just remove. Yeah, but that's a daily battle relative to that balance.
Sean, since the last time we talked to you, the depth chart came out. Just a couple points. Jarrett Stidham is the number 2. And you put 2 practice squad guys.
I tried to put 7, and Patrick omitted 5. But no, look, those 2 guys have been with us, and obviously, I don't know that there's any rule whether you can put practice squad players on, but they'll be important to our team and throughout the year.
Coach, because of that, do you expect both of those, Willard Humphrey and Mike Bird, to be elevated?
Yeah, we'll see. But I would definitely say, you know, they'll both be playing this season. And so relative to this game, you know, I'd rather just not comment on it.
Did last night put you on high alert regarding what a legal formation is now, I guess, going forward?
I didn't see any of the game, but just, you know, caught some of the highlights and then heard about some of the penalties. First game, you know, on the road, crowd noise, where they tackle.
Yeah, it was tackle related to the same.
One was a receiver covering up another receiver. I saw that.
It was 4, I think, 3 on the same guy. It was very, very late. I mean,
Yeah.
it was very close.
Yeah, you know, usually there's a warning, and you know, and then after that, you know, you address it.
So they did send out a memo apparently on it, that they're going to call it, they were saying?
Well, there's points of emphasis, and it's not uncommon when the season starts to. It's like we're going to write a bunch of speeding tickets on you know, on your exit off of 23 here early on, and then it calms down a little bit. But I know it's been a point of emphasis of just protecting the line of scrimmage integrity in all phases, keeping the defense out of the neutral zone, keeping the offense in legal formations. I understand it.
And what you mentioned about touchbacks, 30-35, well, 9 kickoffs were touchbacks out of 11.
Yeah, not surprising, really. And the reason I say that is, all right, you're one of the top teams in the NFL, and here's a play that, if it's not executed perfectly, so the risk reward you're looking at, relative to a big return, and so I didn't see the kicks, but I saw the final numbers, and then sometimes, I think it was the last home game, we had a kind of an 8, 9, 10 mile an hour wind, and here's what I would say: the perfect kick lands on the goal line, right? Now that's pretty hard, and so it's catastrophic if it lands on the 6 or 7 and it's caught on the run into that wall. We're learning this. It is. So these lanes kind of open and then they close, and so I don't think you'll see many return when they're in the end zone. So the perfect kick. And again, none of that matters, right? The perfect kick is being caught on the goal line. But when we played Arizona, Will was, trying, in the preseason, trying to hit that. And if you're going to err, you're going to err a little long. And so we had a few touchbacks that maybe we were, but we know what can happen if you're short. So that can play a factor too. I think there's going to be but 6 to 7 mile an hour wind, 76 degrees, mostly cloudy, and wind gusts up to 12. And so that can, usually at this stadium, there's an advantage wind, as long as I can remember. And so that makes it trickier. It's like a golfer trying to hit the green with the right distance, and where's the wind coming, and short, is not good. Where long is always better.
Sean, you may have a different answer in a few weeks, but you've talked a lot about being a teacher first and foremost. So with such a young roster, has it kind of reinvigorated you and a rookie QB about the teaching? So we saw you stop practice certainly more than last year to just emphasize.
Yeah. I think. Look, I just finished talking to him about the week. I think in order to win Sunday, you have to win the week. In your preparation and your practice, and then, we put ourselves in a position now. We've had a good training camp, a good off season, but to your question, I think one of the perks about this job is you get to work with young people, and so you kind of stay. I'm not necessarily in tune to the latest trends relative to their music but you're around younger people, and I think I think that's something we don't take lightly. We have a chance to teach and coach, and honestly, we have a chance to change lives, just like our high schools and grade school teachers have done, and that's really the best part of it, when you see someone progress and have success, and that's pretty rewarding. Thanks.